What is this? A Nissan NV. Hey everybody, my name is Josh, and today I'm going to give you a tour of this 2013 Nissan NV200. All right, so I want to mention a couple things before we jump into the tour. The first is there'll be a bunch of links down in the description to most of what you're going to see in the van throughout the tour. You'll also find my website, briarwoodvans.com. There you can get more information as far as how the process goes to get your van converted, as well as my contact info. I get a ton of questions about whether or not one of these NV200 vans would work for a camper. And so I'm really excited to be able to share with you a full build in one of these vans. That's all I have. Now I'm going to jump behind the camera and we'll get started on this tour. Like most of the van tours I do, we're going to start on the outside and work our way in. You'll notice some windows in the slider doors right there. These were added as part of the build. Hopping over to the driver's side, you can see it there on both sides of the van. Down here you can see a port. This is a shore power plug-in. Just an alternate way to be able to charge up your auxiliary battery. Up top you'll see two 100-watt solar panels, as well as a MaxxAir roof fan. These NV200s have a lot of cross members in the roof, and so the areas that you can mount the fan are fairly limited. I want to say that there's maybe two locations, either like you see here, kind of in the center, or very, very far back, if I remember right. Don't quote me on that. One last thing up on the roof here is an antenna which is connected to the cell phone signal booster. For the most part, that's all that was done to the exterior of the van. So now I'll pop the back doors open and we'll go through the inside. Popping the back doors open, you can see right away that the rear doors feature some flip-up tables. These, as well as the countertop, are all made out of some butcher block. The NV200 has two different sized rear doors. This flip-up table is much narrower than the other side. I want to say this is about 12 inches wide, and this one, if I remember right, came out to around 22 inches wide. We'll start over here on the right with the kitchenette. Right off the back here is the door to open up so that you have access to your fresh water. This particular build features 7 gallons of fresh water, and then there is not a gray water tank in this build. It uses just a discharge hose that exits the bottom of the van. The water tank is held down by a ratchet strap here, as well as a stopper behind the tank to prevent it from shifting around while you're driving. All the cabinet doors are on soft close hinges, so everything will shut nice and smoothly. Right next to that, you'll see an on-off switch, and this is for the water pump. It's currently in the on position, which allows you to use the faucet like a traditional sink faucet. You'll see two doors here. The one on the right is a false door. It's just a wall panel, but the door on the left swings open, and that reveals two things. The first being a cutting board that is designed to fit the cutout of the sink. And the second is actually a desktop. So climbing in the van here, I'm going to remove that desktop like I mentioned. We'll swing that door closed. And then the top drawer of the kitchen cabinet doubles as both a standard drawer, and then also allows you to place this desktop panel right inside of it, and then by pushing it forward, it creates a nice little desktop. You can use it as a desktop sitting where I am here, or it can just double as some additional countertop space if you were cooking or doing dishes or anything while sitting in front of the sink area. It disassembles very quick and easy. You just slide the drawer out, lift up the panel, swing that door back open, slide the desktop in. Then there's a Velcro bumper that keeps it from rattling around too much. All the drawers are on soft close drawer guides, so they shut very smoothly, as well as provide some resistance to keep the drawers from opening while you're driving down the road. The next drawer down is a very large bin, and that's because it stores the fridge. The owner had provided this fridge when they dropped off the van, so I don't know too much about it, but you can pull out the drawer, pop open the fridge, and get to all your goodies. And again, on soft close drawer guides. With the weight that is inside of this drawer, there is an added little lock The soft close drawer guides provide a lot of resistance, which is nice for drawers that aren't holding a lot of weight, but when there is something heavy inside of one of these drawers, they can open sometimes when you go around a corner. So adding something like this little lock just helps prevent that. And then the bottom drawer is simply just a storage drawer. It's a little shallower than the rest because of the wheel well, but it's fairly big. The owner had talked about getting a single burner propane stove, and so that can fit down here for cooking inside of the van. Above all the drawers, you'll see that butcher block countertop that I mentioned before. And then we have our on and off switch for the ceiling LED lights, as well as you can see some 12-volt accessory plugs and then some 110 outlets. Above the kitchenette, you'll see a little overhead cabinet, not really overhead. On the side, there's another little on-off switch for some under cabinet lighting. The cabinet just swings up and it's on soft close hinges, which actually allow the door to stay open for like a hands-free operation. It's not a huge cubby, but it gives you some additional storage. And then the door just swings down and eventually closes nice and smooth. This is a little bit bigger sink than I've put in builds in the past. It's roughly 10 inches across this way and about 12 inches side to side. This particular faucet features a gooseneck, which allows you to pull the hose out a ways, and you can actually swing the faucet out towards the back doors, and this can double as an outdoor shower. So to set up the outdoor shower, you just have to swing the faucet out towards the back, and then stepping around the door over here, you have access to be able to pull down the nozzle, as well as being able to reach through and turning on the water. You just pull down the nozzle, and then using this magnetic clip here, you can position the faucet head so that you can rinse off outside of the van. Now I know this is no luxurious shower inside of a camper van, but it is a good 2-for-1 solution for these smaller vans. When you're all done, you can just swing it back inside the van. That way, when you close up the doors, you don't bump into the faucet. And then the last thing on the passenger side here would be this bench. Now this doubles both as a bench as well as a big storage bin. The top just flips up, and as you can see, it's just a big general storage cubby. It wasn't designed specific for anything in particular. We'll close that up, and now we'll move over to the bed. I'll crawl inside here and show you how the bed operates. So this bed is similar to one that I've designed in the past. It's a pull-out style bed, and it uses 500-pound drawer guides to support the extension. Once you pull the extension out, you can grab your backrest cushion here, and it just pops into place. The total bed dimensions are roughly 80 inches in length and 33 inches wide. Proof that it works. I'm not 500 pounds, but I'm fully on the extension here, and as you can see, it's still in one piece. With the backrest cushion out of the way, there is a storage cubby built into this wall here. It just makes use of some of the space that was above the wheel well when this wall was framed in. Tearing down the bed is just as easy as the setup. You can just pop the cushion out, and then there are a couple ball catches that allow the extension to be held into place so that it doesn't pop open when you're driving down the road. And then below the extension for the bed, you can see that there are 3 drawers. They're just standard drawers, nothing too fancy, and then they all feature those soft close drawer slides. If I pop this backrest cushion down, you can see a little bit more of that butcher block material was used to top off this lower section of the wall. And then above that, another 110 outlet. And then this is an interesting cubby that was recessed into the wall. If I hop inside here, you can see that there is a leather strap that matches all the drawer pulls and the curtain ties. And then there's actually a dimmable LED inside this box that highlights a custom engraved quote that the client requested. All of these on-off switches are dimmable. If you press and hold, it'll dim down. If you release and press again, it will dim back up. And they're all just touch sensitive. The flicker that you see there is only in camera, not noticeable to the eye. And then moving up here to the end of this wall, you will see another on-off switch, and this is for turning on and off your cell phone signal booster. And then this particular on-off switch is for the inverter. And this is what will allow you to have power to those 110 outlets that you've seen throughout the tour. It's a little bit tough to see, but this is the antenna for that cell phone signal booster. Tried to keep it mounted in a inconspicuous spot. Underneath this end of the cushion, right behind the driver's seat, you have to fold it up out of the way, and under here is actually where the battery is stored. If you grab this little leather pull cord, you can tip the door up, and then you can see your auxiliary battery. That blue box down there is the DC to DC charger, and then a battery monitor. We'll close that back up, pop that cushion back down, and then finally, overhead up at the front, you'll see a fairly large storage cabinet. The door just flips down, and then it was actually recessed up in between some of the cross members of the roof. So it's a little bit taller inside the cabinet than it is at the front. Trying to make the most out of the space available. And then again, on soft close door hinges, at a certain point it will self-close. You'll notice there are curtains for all the window coverings. They all just feature a leather snap, and then you can just slide them open for some privacy. Now, I've talked about this before in previous videos, but I do own a small leather goods business, and so I may be a little bit biased, but I definitely lean towards leather drawer pulls for both aesthetic as well as functionality. They work great for their purpose, but because they are soft, if you step into the van and you bump into one, you're not going to hurt yourself. Whereas a traditional drawer pull, being a hard material, if you bump into that, it could give you quite the shinner. And then last but not least, I'll pop open the slider door behind the driver's seat. And this is where most of the electrical is located. As you saw earlier in the build, there is a compartment behind the driver's seat that stores that auxiliary battery and a couple other items. But on the side here, you're going to see your inverter down here at the bottom, 12-volt fuse block for various accessories like the LED lights and water pump. This is that cell phone signal booster. Again, you saw the on-off switch located on the back side of this wall. Solar charge controller, big fuse for the inverter, and then you have on-off switches for both the solar panels as well as the auxiliary battery. I designed this style electrical panel just to provide convenience for the owner, just giving them immediate access to the things that they may need to address, such as a blown fuse. If they do need to access any of the wiring, this panel is hinged and it just pops forward, and then you have access to all your cables. Closing it back up, by hiding all the wires behind that panel, it really just makes this area of the van look a little bit cleaner. That shore power plug that we saw earlier in the van runs through the inverter here, giving you 3 ways to charge your auxiliary battery. The first being the DC to DC charger, so when you're driving down the road you can charge it, the solar, and then the shore power. That about does it for this section of the van, so I'll close this up here. And then the last feature of the van is actually in this drawer, and it's a custom-made bug net. It fits the perimeter of the back door opening back here. That way you can keep the back doors here open and hopefully keep all the critters out. Well, I think that's going to wrap up this tour of the NV200. Hopefully I didn't miss anything, but if I did, be sure to leave a comment and I'll try to get back to as many people as I can. If you are interested in having your van converted, like I mentioned, my website will be in the description, and there you can find all my contact info. I really appreciate you all taking the time to check out this van. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. My hands are so cold.